Welcome to Daily Gossip. You will get daily Hollywood updates here. Remember to subscribe for the latest videos. In a world too often dominated by aggression, ego, and performative displays of strength, there emerges every once in a while a rare figure whose leadership does not just challenge the norm, but reshapes it entirely. Jacinda Ardern, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, is one such figure. Her memoir, A Different Kind of Power, is not just a book. It is a soul-bearing invitation into a woman's life who led her nation with an unshakable belief that empathy and kindness are not weaknesses, but strengths. And today, we journey through this story with you, one chapter of heart, hope, and humanity at a time. Jacinda's rise to power was nothing short of extraordinary. At the age of 37, she became one of the world's youngest female heads of government. She didn't just win an election. She captured the world's attention by showing that politics didn't have to be ruthless to be effective. From the very beginning, she brought to the table something rarely seen in global leadership, a quiet conviction that listening, caring, and truly connecting with people mattered more than dominating the headlines. The memoir begins with her early years in Morrinsville, a small town that shaped her values, her sense of justice, and her belief in service. Raised in a modest home, the daughter of a police officer and a school catering assistant, Ardern was grounded in hard work and community. But what stands out is not just her upbringing. It's the quiet power of her resilience. She was never driven by the hunger for authority, but by the desire to make a difference. Her voice was never the loudest in the room, but it was always the one that resonated most deeply. When Jacinda Ardern became Prime Minister in 2017, she wasn't just taking office, she was stepping into history. And then, in one of the most poignant personal political intersections of her career, she discovered she was pregnant just weeks after forming a coalition government. For many leaders, this would be seen as a disruption. For Jacinda, it was a continuation of life's journey, and she embraced it with the same empathy she would later bring to the world stage. She gave birth while in office, becoming only the second elected leader in modern history to do so. But more than the milestone itself, it was the humility and humanity she displayed throughout that captured the public's heart. The world truly saw the depth of Jacinda Ardern's leadership. In 2019, when New Zealand was shaken by the horrific terrorist attack on 2 mosques in Christchurch, 51 people lost their lives in a hate-fueled act of violence that stunned the globe. And in that moment of national grief, Jacinda did not retreat behind podiums and political talking points. She wrapped her head in a scarf, walked among the victims' families, and mourned with them. Her response was immediate, heartfelt, and revolutionary. "They are us," she said, simply but powerfully, about the Muslim community. She didn't politicize the tragedy. She humanized it. Within weeks, her government passed major gun control reforms, an action many Western countries have failed to accomplish for decades. It was one of many moments when Jacinda's approach shattered expectations. She didn't respond to crisis with bombast, but with compassion. She didn't dominate her opponents. She disarmed them with grace. During the COVID-19 pandemic, her nation was one of the most successful in managing the virus. But she didn't use that success to boast. She used it to remind people of their shared responsibility. She held daily briefings with clarity, warmth, and science-backed assurance. At a time when fear and confusion gripped the world, she was a calming presence, reassuring her citizens that we're in this together. But what most people didn't see, what a different kind of power reveals in raw detail, was the toll that leadership took on her spirit. Jacinda Ardern doesn't portray herself as a perfect leader in this memoir. On the contrary, she lays bare the moments of doubt, exhaustion, and guilt. She speaks of waking up at 3 a.m., worrying about the weight of her decisions, of feeling torn between her role as a mother and her responsibilities as a national leader, of breaking down in tears after receiving cruel, baseless attacks from online trolls. Her vulnerability is not weakness. It's a reminder that even the strongest leaders are human beings first. She discusses her resignation in 2023 not as a failure or escape, but as a necessary choice to preserve her well-being and that of her family. "I no longer felt I had enough in the tank," she wrote. That confession, so honest, so unfiltered, is a rare kind of bravery in itself. In a world where politicians often cling to power for power's sake, Jacinda Ardern stepped away because she knew that integrity means knowing when to stop, and in doing so, she inspired millions, not just by how she led, but by how she let go. Throughout the memoir, she challenges traditional notions of leadership and power. She writes about being underestimated because of her appearance, her age, and her gender. She writes about being told to be tougher, to hit harder, to speak less softly. But Jacinda refused to compromise who she was. Her voice, gentle, thoughtful, and grounded, remained steady through it all. And in the process, she redefined what power looks like. A different kind of power is more than a book. It's a roadmap for a more empathetic world. It's a love letter to those who lead with their hearts. It's a call to young people, especially young women, to believe that they can be themselves and still change the world. It reminds us that success isn't just about achievements, but about how we treat people on the way to them. In one of the most touching passages, she reflects on how her daughter will one day read about her mother's time in office, not just in textbooks, but in the quiet ways she showed up, listened, and loved. Jacinda doesn't want her daughter to see her as a hero, but as someone who tried, failed, tried again, and always stayed true to her values. That humility radiates through every page of her memoir. For anyone who has ever felt out of place in a world that celebrates brashness over thoughtfulness, for anyone who has ever felt unsure if kindness really matters, Jacinda Ardern's story is proof that it does. Her legacy will not be measured just in laws passed or polls won, but in the lives she touched, the hearts she comforted, and the future she helped reimagine. In today's noisy world, where anger and division dominate headlines, a different kind of power feels like a balm. It invites us to slow down, to reconsider what it means to be strong, and to remember that leadership grounded in love can be the most transformative force of all. As we close this chapter of Daily Gossip, let us not just admire Jacinda Ardern's journey, but learn from it. May we all carry forward her message that kindness is not a liability, but a superpower. That leadership is not about being feared, but about being trusted, and that sometimes the most courageous thing we can do is to be exactly who we are. Thank you for watching Daily Gossip. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more heartfelt stories that inspire.